Hi, I'm Diana Iannarone, and welcome to the fourth edition of Creating the Life You Want. Last time we talked about becoming aware of certain abuses and dysfunctions that exist in our world. Particularly, we emphasized abuse from sociopathic or narcissistic relationships. And we talked about the concept of waking up, then standing up. Okay, so you have to wake up before you can stand up, and wake up means get out of the delusion of the idea that this is going to get better. Get out of the delusion of the idea that there's something you can do to solve this problem. Most of us that get involved in these kinds of relationships, what we are adamant about is there is simply nothing we can't fix. I mean, we are take charge doers. We could take care of this. There's got to be a solution. But no, there isn't. The only solution is to get out. So there's many different schools of thoughts to the comment that I just made. I will tell you that there's some school of thought that these things can be healed, that a sociopath or a narcissist can be healed. And, you know, there has been circumstances under which a person recognizes certain characteristics that they have and they can work towards making it better. But then that would be their choice, wouldn't it? It would be their idea. They can go resolve this. They can go take care of this. They can go do the healing. But what actually happens is we have this idea that they should maybe do that. And it actually doesn't work. And so we just read more books and try and learn more about what we can do so that we'll be better and can better manage in this relationship, and that somehow we can then fix it and it'll all get better. But the wrong person's doing the work. So we're focused on them, and we're focused on what we can do for them, and we're focused on protecting them, and we're focused on them, while our world and what matters to us at the truest level, which is love, completely falls apart, completely gets annihilated. And then one day we wake up in this shattered mess and we realize we have wasted months, years of our life trying to fix something that was unfixable, but we were deluded into believing it could be fixed by design. And for that reason, we allowed this to happen. The work that I do is about helping people just get the directed understanding of a few things. One is, you can't fix it. And if you want to believe that it can be fixed, then decide that this person should go off and fix it and come back to you when they're done. Because you don't have to endure any more pain. So we want to talk about how to get out of this, but also to recognize that we are responsible for the chaos in our lives, because we're enduring it and accepting it, and we could decide not to do that anymore. So one of the things that I usually tell people, you know, when I start working with them or sharing this information with them is, trust yourself. Now, find the humor in that. Trust myself. Okay, sure, my life is in shambles. Everything I've tried to do is totally screwed up. And you want me to trust myself? Great planning. I don't trust myself. I got myself into this mess. But I want you to go to a deeper core. I want you to go to a deeper core of knowledge. And I want you to ask yourself if you really did believe at your absolute core that this was a rectifiable problem, or you wanted to believe it. Because I would say in all instances that people know right from the beginning that something is wrong. And then they talk themselves out of it. Maybe it was your very first encounter in a certain relationship and you go, something just didn't feel right. I don't know, something just wasn't right, didn't quite. But then somehow you get persuaded or convinced that that first inkling was wrong, and then you like hook on and here you go on the journey. And you know that I try not to emphasize labels, putting people in categories, but I do think there is a distinguishing difference between a sociopath and a narcissist in this regard. Sociopaths, it's easier for you to look back and see all the pain, and narcissism, you're like, I don't know what happened, I didn't see that. You usually don't see it as blatantly. But nonetheless, that little inner knowing, that little something, was kind of mainly there. Even if it was only there fleetingly in the beginning, it was there. So I'm coming back to trust yourself. And by trust yourself, people would ask me what it is I do, I would say the most significant thing I do is I tell you what you told me you believe. People come to me in mass confusion. They are so confused. But when we start talking, I'm like, you actually don't sound confused. You sound really clear. So what it really boils down to is you're really clear that the circumstances aren't the way you wish they were. And as soon as you can adopt the idea that you no longer have to be focused on what you wish they were, but focus on what they are, then you can start making progress. So the waking up part of what it is that needs to happen to get free from these situations is accepting the circumstances as they are. And accepting the circumstances as they are means you no longer wish it away. Like, oh, it's going to get better. I know it can get better. It will get better. You decide this is what it is. So once you come to that revelation, instead of feeling relieved, you're going, oh my gosh, now I am overwhelmed. I can see that I've deluded myself. I can see that I've spent 10, 15, 20 years in this deluded state. I have been isolated from almost anybody that I thought might be able to help me. I'm completely alone. I have nowhere to turn. And we're back to that idea of suicide. It's not an option. It's not an option for so many reasons, but the biggest of which is it's a trophy for the person that tried to take you there. And you don't want to give them that trophy. But bigger than that, the reason why you're in these kinds of relationships is you are so filled with love. And you have so much love to give. The challenge is you didn't choose to love yourself. You didn't choose to even focus on yourself. You were focused on everybody else. In my book, I call that carrying other people's piece. Like if you can imagine a world and imagine a jigsaw puzzle, and everybody has to hold their piece of their puzzle over their head in order for the world to be at peace. But instead we're going, well, I don't think you're really carrying that piece so well, or you're carrying that piece so well. So we start judging how others are carrying it and not paying attention to ourselves anymore. And now if we think they need help, we're trying to help them. In the meantime, our world is falling apart. Once you hold your own peace and you come to a total peace inside, then you have a whole lot more to give other people. So that's what the goal is to suddenly pay attention to you, to your body, to your mind, to your soul, to what is really in your highest, greatest good. And from there, you can get somewhere. So trust yourself. Well, how do you trust yourself when you have mayhem all around you? The other challenge is you've been told pretty much you're crazy in your relationships, and then when you realize the relationship and you tell other people the story, you really sound crazy. So, the spiral just keeps getting out of control. So what you need to remind yourself is you need to ground in your truth. You need to get your whole body back to grounded, back to one unified force, so that you can start to make good decisions and begin to trust yourself. So when someone is talking to me and they're talking all this chaos, I can hear from that chaos the truth that they know and remind them that they're more capable, more able. They have the ability to get beyond this. But in order to do that, they have to embrace where they are. Recently I was talking with someone and we got on the words, embrace where you are. And she said, I actually tell people to embrace where they are and literally do this. Now, that may not seem important, but you've been denied love. You've been trying to convince people to love you. You've been trying to tell people who you are because they're defining you as something different. That is a total waste of your energy. Total waste of your energy. You do not need to convince people of your truth. You need to live in your truth. And when you do, when you get grounded in the real truth, when you get congruent, your whole self gets congruent with the truth of who you are, you will not find yourself drawing in these kinds of relationships anymore. You'll be free. So how do you begin? How do you begin to trust yourself? Well, by just deciding I'm going to trust myself. That's the first decision. I'm going to trust myself. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to embrace where you are. This is where you are. Now, which way do you want to be looking in order to get where you want to go? Do you want to keep looking back there where you were, what you screwed up on, how you messed it all up, how you were deceived? Do you want to keep staying there? Or do you want to stay right here where you are? Okay. And the other option is you look out there, and when you look out there, you have fear. Because right now, every stability and everything that was in your world that you were clinging to is disappearing. And so you get scared shitless of looking out there because you're like, oh my gosh, my finances are destroyed, my spirit is destroyed, my body is destroyed. How am I going to get out there? So stay right here. Somebody once told me, think of it this way, like you have a cup right in front of you. And all the abundance, all the knowledge, all the need that you have is right there in front of you. Okay, and it's flowing to you. It's flowing to you. It wants you to receive it. If you got your cup back here, you're missing it. If you got your cup over there, you're missing it. Come to right now, the moment you're in, and accept the abundance that is right in front of you. Because what I will tell you is when you wake up, it's like the universal forces are joining, going like, hey, they finally got it, woohoo! And then they want to help you. They being whatever. It's a unifying force that just wants you to have love. Okay? And all of a sudden, if you can get your eyes off of all the chaos and confusion, if you could just look for little glimmers of answers, you will find them. You will find them, and all of a sudden things will get easier instead of harder. They'll start to get easier instead of harder. But what we do instead is we become that harsh parent to ourselves. We beat ourselves up. We talk about all the ways we failed. We talk about how, what an idiot, what a moron, what a jerk, how could I, blah, blah, blah. All right, I understand that, and I'm not saying you don't have to have your fair share of that. But if you are a parent, would you talk to your child that way? And my guess is maybe you've been spoken to that way at some time or another, and maybe that's what makes it okay for you to do that. But I'm here to tell you, like, no more. No more. This is a new decision. You're deciding that you are the creator of your life. The chaos and confusion is you, and the clarity and peace can also be you. And so you have to decide that's where you want to go. So you can go ahead and feel remorse and sadness. I do not ever suggest you deny any emotion you're feeling, because that's the feeling you have. It's in the here and now. You need to honor the feelings you have in the here and now. But when you start beating yourself down, when you start belittling yourself, that would be like you saying to your child, you're a moron, you're an idiot. How could you have done something so stupid? Do you think that's going to build that child up to be a happy, content person? Your thoughts are so powerful, and we act like they're nothing but thoughts. But they're way more than that. Okay, they're way more than that. You may have heard the term collective consciousness, things like that. Your thoughts are becoming powerful forces to create your life. And you have to learn now how to embrace yourself and give yourself what you have been denied. And that is compassion, nurturing, comfort, and the allowance to feel whatever it is that you feel. The allowance to feel whatever it is that you feel. But at the end of the day, you've got to lift yourself up, not take yourself down. And there's actually some pretty easy techniques to doing that. One, as we just talked about, is physically embracing yourself and letting yourself feel that love. And in fact, I wasn't planning on doing this, but while you're doing that, say, I love myself. I love myself. And you might find yourself rocking. If you're ever in an emotional thing, you might find yourself rocking. That's actually very healthy. That is you trying to find your center, trying to find your balance. Don't stop it. Let yourself do that. It's a very healthy thing. And that's you embracing yourself. But I do this exercise where I'll have people say, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself, and they're all awkward and they hate it. And then I'll say, imagine yourself the perfect quantity of your favorite food. You know, just imagine yourself that perfect ice cream sundae or whatever. You're the container. And you go, I love myself, I love myself. And suddenly you have this happy, delightful thing. And it's like, oh, please, just love yourself as real as you love that. Just do that, and wow, that alone will be the beginning of great life changing, because you've tried to make people love you. You don't have to make anybody love you. You just have to decide that you're lovable and don't allow anything else to come in your circle. Sounds so easy, right? But it starts with a few decisions. First decision, I'm going to start trusting myself. You get a bad vibe? Honor it. Doesn't feel quite right? It doesn't mean you run from everything, especially when you first wake up after being in these kinds of situations, because you do have a paranoia switch that flips on. You suddenly don't trust anybody. And you know what? You're going to have to be okay with that for a while. And so are all the people around you. Going to have to be okay with that for a while. Because you have been betrayed in the most intimate, deepest way. And suddenly, if somebody that close to you that you love for that long could betray you that way, you don't know who to trust. And you don't know if you could trust anyone. And just allow yourself to be there. Allow yourself to be there, because your wisdom will shine through. Your wisdom will carry you over. But you have to start by just accepting that. And the people that say, how dare you not trust me? Say, right now I can't trust anyone. Don't explain yourself. Explaining yourself drains you of your life force. Explaining yourself, justifying yourself drains you of your life force. You need to hold on to your life force. You need every morsel of it. So trust yourself and know that you do have a level of higher paranoia, but you also just discovered that you weren't paranoid enough. You weren't aware enough. So be patient with yourself. Be patient with yourself. Don't be the harsh parent to yourself. Be the loving parent to yourself. So, how do you do that? There are two things we need. We need nurturing and we need validation. We need nurturing and we need validation. We were supposed to get the nurturing from our mother energy and the validation from our father energy. That doesn't have to be, male and female. It's the energy of that, but it doesn't have to be the male parent gives you this. Okay? So you are now going to give it to yourself so that you can get back to the place of trusting yourself. So when you feel down and destroyed, you're not going to say, get over yourself, suck it up, we got things to do. You're going to say, of course I feel this way. Of course I feel down and destroyed. Of course I feel deceived. And anyone would feel that way if this happened to them. Once you do that, let yourself be in that place and begin to journal. Journal. Journaling is such a great tool to release your emotions in a safe place. And some people say, well, I don't want to journal. Somebody's going to read it. It's going to rip up the pages when you're done. Burn them. It's very therapeutic. But don't make excuses for why you're not going to get healed. Don't make excuses for why there's not a way out, because there is always a way out. And once you wake up, lots of things are trying to wake you up to all the things available to help you get through. So that validating of your emotions. You're angry, let yourself be angry. In fact, you could do an exercise while you're, saying to the person, not really, this has nothing to do with anybody else, this is about your healing. I'm angry at you because you deceived me. I'm angry at you because, and whatever it is, and you keep saying, I'm angry at you because, and the reason you keep using the word anger is so that you can feel it, and when you finally feel it, beat the hell out of the pillow and let yourself feel it, and it's okay. And then all of a sudden you might be crumpled up in a ball and you're crying on the floor and say, now I'm sad. And do the same thing. I'm sad because. Let every emotion come out, because it is the stifling of the emotions and putting on the happy face that got you in this place, because you tolerated the intolerable, because you decided you could handle it, because you were tough. And now you have broken. You have finally broken, and yay, because that's when you'll start to heal. That's when you'll start to heal. I'm not a licensed therapist. I am a certified life coach. I've been down this road. And my book, which I'll talk about briefly, does explain how to do this. Okay? It's time for you to embrace where you are, not suck it up, and be real. I'm realizing there's a few things I want to say also. I'm talking about this, you waking up, and I want you to know I'm not forgetting that you're still potentially in the situation. So it's like, great, Diana, you want me to deal with all these emotions? I don't have time for that. And that's right, you don't. If you're still in the relationship, you have to still be vigilant. You just have to be vigilant. But what happens is you've raised your consciousness. You've raised your consciousness now, and you're like, wow, I just put a label on this situation, and what I thought was me failing and what I thought was me not trying hard enough. This is something far more alarming. This is either a sociopathic or narcissistic or both, or some sort of manipulative relationship. I am terrified. You're terrified because now you know what you're in, and suddenly now you're afraid to get out. You don't have to race out. You have to start being logical. You have to start thinking, and you have to become Columbo. Do you remember Columbo? Giving away my age. Columbo was the detective that was always kind of a mess, and he always was like, oh, I don't know, did that happen? I'm not sure. He's not very articulate, but he always really knew what was going on. That's who you become now. Okay, so you do that embracing of your emotions, you do what you can to raise your self-esteem, which is acknowledging your emotions, which is acknowledging what they are, embracing them, saying, of course I feel terrified, of course I feel this, of course I feel, anybody would feel this. Okay, that's the nurturing self-esteem part. The self-confidence part is where you build up your doings. I'm smart, I can do this. Anything that has to do with your actual physical actions, that's your self-confidence. And most of you have a lot of self-confidence, which is self-esteem that was down there. If you're watching this video, it's probably true. So now you need to rely on your confidence to be smart, to be in your head, to be able to know the next move, to be able to strategize, and stop being so articulate because you explain yourself so fully that what you're doing is giving ammunition so that it can later be used against you. Machine gun fire. And you're like, I trusted them with this, or I shared this with them. They're not trustworthy. No. So you keep your sacred stuff for yourself because it's about you. And now, when they ask questions, you'd be a little more vague. You'd be a little more vague, a little more, yeah, I'm not really sure about that. I mentioned in the last video, to start separating yourself because you need to gain your independence. Okay, in the end, to live free, you need to be free from being controlled by anybody else. And the only way to arrive there is to start focusing on you. And every day that you focus on you, every day that you embrace where you are and acknowledge your emotions and let yourself feel them, every day where you validate your doings, I'm a smart person, I'm capable, I'll be able to do this. Every day that you do that, you are building your self-confidence, you are building your self-esteem, you are getting clarity, because as you release the emotions, you get clarity of vision, and you then can access more positive information that's available for you that you can now hear and know what to do. What you can't allow yourself to do is get in that downward spiral and just keep rewording, reforming, reformulating everything that happened and try to convince everybody else of it. Because as you're trying to convince everybody else of it, you keep repeating the same things over and over and giving life to all of that negativity. And it's like you're a magnet attracting it to you. You need to lift your head up out of what I call the horseradish. It's Susan Jeffers, I believe, that calls that living in the horseradish. You need to lift yourself out of that and start remembering there is a glorious, wonderful world out of this chaos. And when you come out of the chaos and confusion and get that clarity of vision, you will know the action steps. And there will surely be things that'll be very terrorizing, very fearful, and some people go, forget it, I can't do it, I'm going to just stay in this. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And you don't want to go out with that murder-suicide wall. What you want to do is remember that always your healing rests in your decision to change the top wall. Murder-suicide, geographic, get sick, go crazy, change. Murder-suicide is where we think if we kill them or ourselves we make it better. The geographic is simply if we get out of the mess, it will be better. And when we think we can't do either one of those, we go to the get sick, go crazy, and that's where we stay. And people are really happy to attack us and diminish us in that space. And we're happy to own it. And that was not your plan for your life. You are a loving being. That's why you are in these situations. And it's very simple. You are now going to make a new decision. And that new decision is to love and trust yourself. And from loving and trusting yourself, You'll be able to begin to get the clarity of mind, embracing yourself where you are. You'll begin to get more vision. If you need help, which you are going to need help, doesn't matter where you go to get help, but go somewhere, reach out. If people don't seem to understand it, reach out to somebody else. Okay, you need to find people who have been there. Okay, I do have, and I've mentioned this before, my book, Me and My Shadow, which is my journey from fear and control to love and freedom. The break point is on page 173. That's where I start to talk about self-confidence, self-esteem, boundaries in a more kind of directed educational way. The beginning is about why we're in it, what it looks like. In case you're still asleep and don't even know if you're in this kind of relationship, this will help you discover that. Okay. And I do offer a free consultation to anyone. You can get me on my website, www.standingup.us, and just send me an email and we'll go from there. Or you can call me at 631-886-1094. I do have a couple of Facebook pages. One is Standing Up, A Path to Being Whole Again. I just started that one. There's not a lot of followers, but all of the followers there are about not ignoring evil, being willing to stand up in it. And there's other pages you'll be led to from my site. I hope you got a great deal out of today. I am so passionate about helping you understand that you have the power within you to have a loving, happy life. Get out of the chaos and to the clarity. Move from fear and control to love and freedom. You can do it. I'm very grateful for you tuning in with me today. I think I went a little over my time, but I'm free to do that. It's how it works. Thank you. Have a great day, and I look forward to your thoughts and feedback.